Hey, what is going on? This is Ryan, and this is my week 1 match for the London Lucarios in the WCBL Season 2. So I start off with Reuniclus, I scout the move, set up a light screen, and I just switch out into my Mega Scizor or my Miltank, set up rocks. He sets his rocks up, and we just, exchange rocks there. I switch out into my Mega Scizor as I could take pretty much any hit, and I Mega Evolve this turn, and I just go for the Roost as I was a little bit low on health, and he reveals that he has Fire Fang, so I knew that later on in the match, and I knew that if he had Fire Fang, he most likely did not have Ice Fang, which I never actually found out as I killed it later on. So he goes into that Explosion, I go into my Landorus, and then I bring a Miltank, able to take an Eruption from anything. Now he goes into a Alomomola. I knew a Toxic was coming, so I went into my Reuniclus because it had Magic Guard, and I just decided that I would set up a Toxic then I would recover my health as I was under half. He switches into Magearna. I recover. Then I set up a light screen to take any hit, as this was my main Magearna counter. So get the light screen up, and he goes for Ice Beam. It only does 17%. I have Nightshade to whittle it down. And after the next Nightshade, he ends up switching out because he does not want to lose his Magearna so early on. He goes back out to Aloe. Let's see here. I just go for another Nightshade. I see him. I think I just go for one more Nightshade, and then I see him go for that Wish. So thinking he'll go into Magearna, I go into Blaziken so I could try to kill it. Does not happen. He actually scalds and he lets Aloe get the Wish, which I still win the match, but it could have saved me differential, to say the least. I go back out to Reuniclus. He goes into Gliscor, so I go into Lando to take a hit, and he goes back out to Aloe. Or no, sorry, I went to Mega Scizor. I don't know the match off the top of my head. But anyway, he scalds, no burn. I mean, it didn't matter. This wasn't a physical sweeping type of Scizor. This was more defensive support. My sweepers and damagers were Rotom, Blaziken, and Lando. My Scizor, Reuniclus, and Miltank were meant to tank every possibility of a Pokemon that he might have. He starts to try to Calm Mind again. He lands a Dazzling Gleam against my Reuniclus. Only does 47%. I'm able to set up a light screen, force him back out. He goes into Typhlosion. I take an Eruption and just recover. And I go for the Nightshade. Then he switches and I recover. I end up switching out of my Reuniclus. No, I go for Nightshade. Then he switches into Ampharos, and I switch into Lando. It wasn't a bad idea. It just led it up to a misfortune and a miscall. I set up a couple Calm Minds, and his Aloe Toxics my Landorus, and I wanted to kill the Aloe, and I figured Earth Power would kill, so I went for the Earth Power. Unfortunately, he goes into Gliscor, and then when I do try to HP Ice, he clicks Protect. So my Landorus gets whittled down to 40% by the end of all this. Unfortunate, to say the least, but it's alright. So I know I have to switch out. I go into Rotom. He goes into Aloe. I try to trick the Aloe a Choice Scarf. I honestly think keeping my Scarf actually saved me in the match. However, at the time I need to trick this thing so it can't Wish Pass constantly. So I go back into Reuniclus because it's my normal counter. He goes into Ampharos. And goes for a Volt Switch. I set up a light screen. Yes. Then he Shadow Balls. I click Recover. Then I go into Miltank because at this time I didn't realize that he wasn't Specs because I had ran a calc and it said the damage output was enough to be Specs. But it turns out he wasn't. I don't know what item he had. He might have had an Expert Bell, and that's why it did that much damage. But I end up coming in back in the Miltank. I set up my rocks. He Toxics. And then I end up going in the Mega Scissor. I go into Rotom. I miss a Leaf Storm, or a double switch. And I end up sacking off my Mega Scissor to get up a Tailwind so that my team could do more damage. And he clicks HP Fire. I lose Mega Scissor, but I have the Tailwind. I go into my Lando. I click HP Ice, predicting the Gliscor. Kill that Fane. He's then going to switch into, wasn't it, Alakazam. And I switch back out into Miltank, predict the Shadow Ball. And Miltank takes a little bit of Toxic. Then I go back into Blaziken, predicting a switch. He goes to Magearna, which I caught, right? And I go for Earthquake, knowing I could hit Magearna with it as well. And he switches out to Mega Ampharos, which was really good for me, considering I was able to kill his Mega Ampharos. So I'm up 5-4. He goes back out to Zam, and he goes for a substitute, and this is where I realized he was not Specs. He was probably Expert Belt. I actually never got it confirmed on what his Alakazam item was. I just was like, I thought you were Specs, and he was all, no. I'm assuming he was Expert Belt because the Shadow Balls were doing so much to my Reuniclus, and the Expert Belt would boost that. I go back out to Miltank, take a Shadow Ball, immunity. He then Psychics. I just try to break his sub as early as possible. Then I end up clicking Milk Drink as he goes back out to Magearna. And then, if I'm not mistaken, I just go into Reuniclus. No, I go into Lando. And he ends up switching in, sacking off his Typhlosion. It was a smart play on his part. He'd rather get rid of Typhlosion than lose Magearna. My Lando goes down from the Life Orb and Toxic. But I'm up 4-3. He brings in Alakazam. I bring in Rotom. Now, this was Scarfed to outspeed a Alakazam without Scarf. I missed my Leaf Storm, which was really unfortunate because I could have caught the Aloe off guard. But then he stays in, even though I could have went for Leaf Storm again. I just didn't expect him to stay in. I sack off Reuniclus. Didn't do much more. He was like, yes, but it's all. Reuniclus was so low, it honestly didn't do much for my team at that point. And I end up just, and his Aloe dies to Toxic, which means Reuniclus got that kill, as it was the one who Toxic the Alomomola. Now, he sets up another sub. He goes for Psychic. I just, at this point, was like, I need to break the sub if I want to win. I knew I could kill with Blaziken as long as I got the Magearna down a little bit more health. So I sent in Rotom. I could have gone for Volt Switch, which I was thinking about, but I thought I don't want to risk in case he stays in and I Volt Switch and I lose my Blaziken because that was my win. So I just went for the Leaf Storm, knowing that if I got the Magearna low enough, Blaziken's Flare Blitz would kill because I counted against an Assault Vest, and this was Calm Mind, so I knew it wasn't even Assault Vest, so it would have had less defense on it. So I knew that getting it down to 89%, Blaziken could come in, kill with a Flare Blitz, and because I'm Scarfed, I outspeed the Alakazam, and I end up getting a 0-0 win week 1. But I was fairly happy with my performance. I ended up taking 9th place for one of the power rankers and 6th place for the other on the power rankings of the WCBL. So I was overall happy. It was a great game between me and Justin. Very close. But in the end, I did end up pulling the win. And this is my match to use to try to get into GBA D-League. If I did make it, it'd be an honor. But if I didn't, there's always next season. Thank you for watching the battle. And I will see you potentially.